Hey guys, we're doing a review on Zukavskai's I-153 M62. Now, this may be my third premium in a row review, but there's also a non-premium version of this plane, which is pretty much the same thing as this plane. The only different Chaika in this game is the one with the cannons, but we'll do a different review later. Now, as I said before, there's pretty much a non-premium variant. The thing is, with the premium variant, is you get such a better reward because it's premium, but you can easily just blast through tier 1 and tier 2 aircraft like it's nothing. You can get this aircraft, the Zukov's aircraft, for free if you just start the game. The cannon one is got cannons, so I'd say that one's better, but we'll do a different review. I'll talk about the pros and cons of that one. It cannot ground attack, so these bombs and rockets are useless. The rockets are great for taking out aircraft, but not tanks. The belts don't use default, don't use universal. I suggest you to use tracers or stealth, but I'm not your dad, so do what you want. This is, that's pretty much it for the armament. The tracers like to light stuff on fire, and stealth is great for blowing off the wings and tails of your opponents after a nice burst into a certain area. The plane is not armored at all. It's got one steel plate, and the plate hardly protects the pilot, but it has more responsibility than just protecting the pilot. It's got to protect everything because everything's built in the front. The pilot's in the front, the guns are in the front. You even got control surfaces that are in the front of the aircraft. You got the engine, and you got the fuel, and the coolant. So if you get hit in the front, or if you pull a head on, expect to die or expect to be severely wounded, because this plane's not built for that. The plane's built for pure turning. It's got a great engine. The engine's also named the M62, just like the plane, so that's a nice little feature. Let's go into some gameplay. Alright, so we're on Stalingrad here, or something like that. I don't fucking know. Don't care, really. You just care about getting kills. This is it. It's easy to get kills in this plane when you get down tiered or you stay at 2.0 battle rating. When this plane gets up tier to 3.0, the pilots play smartly, and that's the downside to this plane, is smart enemy pilots. See, if you have an idiot who doesn't know what this thing is, they'll turn fight with you, or they'll just turn fight with anything. So you use that to club. You use that to get more points. Of course, I don't, endorse clubbing low tier guys, so we can get more players, but, give them a bad time, teach them what's up in War Thunder. This plane is great at turning. I mean, absolutely great. If Donald Trump can turn fight like this plane, this plane would be president itself. I don't know what type of analogy that was, just roll with it. This plane has very great climb rate. It's got no, it does not have a supercharger in this one. That is the next one, I believe. This thing has bad rudder. That's pretty much the only thing I can say that's bad about this plane, is its speed and its rudder. If you're going 250 miles per hour and you do a full 360 turn, you will find yourself around 150 miles per hour, which is to be expected to ditch a bunch of energy. But when you're in this plane, you want to be higher than most things that you're going to dive on. I'm not going to do that in this game, of course. I'm going to be like every generic War Thunder player and dive on the first fighter I see, not first bomber, because this plane can't really take out bombers unless you hit it with rockets. The rockets don't really damage your flight performance all that much. It just adds just a little bit of parasite drag and reduces the turn time by 0.2, or increases the turn time by 0.2. So it's not much of a difference when you have rockets on here. Of course, you gotta learn how to hit people with rockets to use them, which I can't showcase to you because it's very hard, and I don't feel like sitting here for 5 hours or so trying to hit a plane with rockets. That's just not fun. Now, with me, I don't try to give you guys a playstyle. You guys have to find your own playstyle. I don't care whether that's ground attacking in this plane, fighter bombing in the plane, or bomber intercepting or just flying, you know, into space. I don't care what you do. That's the difference between me and the Orange Doom or whatever who tell you to fly a plane like this or you need to be smart. I'm just going to let you know what's bad or what's good about the aircraft. The bad parts about this aircraft, and specifically, is just its rudder, its speed, and engine. The engine overheats after a bit of wepping, but the real problem with this engine is that it is so good at being absolutely useless. You only get 2 propellers, so you don't cut through the sky like you should be. If you had 3 propellers or 4 propellers, you'd be moving so fast you'd probably rip your own wings off. But of course, since the Russians weren't thinking when they decided to use this against the Bf-109, is maybe we should upgrade its speed by adding a propeller or 2. Nah. But that doesn't really matter since it's already got a great climb rate and it cuts through the sky well enough to turn. The great thing about this plane is not that it somehow turns magically, it's the elevators that make it turn. The rudder's absolutely garbage, and the ailerons are decent at the best. You use the elevator for everything. You bind a key to control your elevator with maximum negative and positive output, so you can just pull maneuvers out of nowhere. Because you don't defensive fly with the rudder and the ailerons like you would any traditional aircraft. This plane is far from traditional. You use the elevator. You pull up and you pull down. The circle that you take to stall out is just as tight as for a turning. This plane has a very low stalling speed and it can pretty much keep up with anything that pulls into the vertical. So that means it's a great turn fighter and a great vertical fighter. Not gonna specifically tell you how I fly this aircraft, for one reason and one reason only, that how I fly it is the most boring and the most weird way. I usually climb to maximum altitude and I stay there in hopes of finding somebody there, because you can't just kill somebody if they continue to move out of your way just by flying in a straight line. They're gonna have to commit to some sort of maneuver battle. One weird thing about this aircraft is it doesn't rip. You hardly rip in this plane unless you're a god at just killing yourself. This plane's maximum, I believe, its maximum G overload is 11 to 12. And negative, I haven't even ripped my wings negative G. I hardly black out negative G, so I wouldn't know. But I do know you can outturn planes by pulling negative Gs, which is amazing about this plane. One good thing about these planes too is the guns. The guns are great. They're not great for going head on, and they don't obliterate its opponent. They just light them on fire and pilot snipe. I can't really say much more about this plane. It's just wings with an engine and guns. It turns well. It turns very well. It's actually one of the best turn fighters in the game, if not the best turn fighter. And it's one of my favorite planes in the game. It's just too slow. And the rudder doesn't move, and, well, it's unarmored. That's pretty much my final thoughts on the plane. I don't really know what else to say about it. I'm sorry if this wasn't as thick of a review as you wanted, but, I mean, the plane isn't very featureable. It's got just one thing, and turning. And it fits my playstyle very well. I love it for that. Well, that's it for me today. Leave a like or a dislike. Tell me what I need to do to improve myself in the comments. If you like this, I'll do more of this. If you dislike it, if it gets a majority dislike, I'll stop this. Of course, there's nobody who watches my video anyways, but for those who do, I'll see you guys in the next.